light so bright, ideals flash in the night. Opponents stand side by side, soldiers collide, nowhere to hide. Fists meet dreams in the street, history on repeat. Our world's in a spin, let the future begin.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep, as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Are changing, feel the buzzing, staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and free, with liberty. Stick to values in the trends, Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision, in God we make decisions for our dream. Through thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and glory. With liberty, we'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery. With liberty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Culturama, where on this show we like to reclaim the zeitgeist and bring back the traditional spirit of Americana back into the United States, the one that we have lost so long ago with the inclusion and the injection of postmodernism and postmodern theory and critical theory into our major institutions. I want to thank everyone that has shown up. I see that we have decent viewership right now, and hopefully that will increase as we proceed forward with this show. But I do want to thank everyone that is coming in, and I'm sure that I'll have a fun time reading your chats in the chat box as well. So I want to thank everyone for showing up today. And we have, so I always say this in the beginning of every show, but this time I really mean it. We have so much to cover today. Donald Trump has been going on an executive order blitz ever since he's gotten into office, and he is just making change after change to better the country. And I must say, we shouldn't get complacent, but I do want to ask people, are you tired of winning yet? At least for those people that are watching the show, because most likely if you are watching this show, you may be a little more conservative or Trump supporting. But that being said, for those that are watching, I do want to reiterate and stress that even though we are winning bigly, it is no time to get complacent. But I must say that a W is a W, and we have a lot to cover in terms of his major W's. Recently, at least today, I heard that there is even a funding freeze going on. I just heard that today. I haven't had a chance to read up on it, but we'll be reading on that on the show today. But other executive orders that he has passed also include banning trans people from the military, which is a big one. Also stopping the transgender surgeries or gender-affirming care or surgeries, what they like to say, gender-affirming surgeries for minors, and that is children under 18 years old. And so that has just passed as well. And so we're going to be covering that. We're also will be covering the deportation saga that has been occurring as well. And apparently Dr. Phil is also in on it. Yes. Believe it or not, Dr. Phil is helping the cause as well. So we'll be covering that. Celebrities are, of course, crying about it. Selena Gomez came out with a video yesterday crying about the deportations. And it appears that the pull of the celebrity has no pull no longer. Americans don't care. And in fact, have made fun of her video quite extensively yesterday. So we're going to be having a laugh about that as well. So also, like I had said, and you can tell by the thumbnail, Daily Wire is having some drama, and I wanted to cover a little bit of that drama. It does have to do with Brett Cooper, and, you know, even though I talk mostly about specifically politics and policy on this show, it's also called Culturama, and one of the big contributors to especially right-wing culture and right-wing political American culture is the media companies like Daily Wire that push movies like Am I Racist by Matt Walsh and others that do affect the conservative culture here in America quite a bit. And so whatever is going on in that realm of, I would say, right-wing discourse and online discourse, I think is just as important. And culture and politics and policy go hand in hand. So we'll be covering that as well. I do think it has a big impact on how not just conservative culture develops, but how the youth will engage in conservative politics moving forward. So let me just check in here with the chat. I already see that we have some people commenting. I see that Barney Styles is in the chat. Hello, Barney Styles. It's very good to see you. AP obviously is in the chat as well. Hello. John Turner from YouTube. Hello, John Turner. I don't know if you've jumped in to the Culturama stream yet, but it's good to see you. Grizz Cheese, of course, the usual. Saying, just lurking until I likely fall asleep. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your evening, Grizz Cheese, and thank you so much for tuning in. We have Floby Tenderson. It's so good to see you again, Floby. He writes, is that a Trump bust in the back? Dope. Is that on the For Liberty shop? Floby, I hate to break it to you, that is not a Trump bust behind me. That is actually a bust of Artemis. She is a Greek/Roman deity. She's known as Diana in the ancient Roman pantheon. And she's an Artemis herself is a part of the ancient Greek pantheon, and she is the deity of chastity, the hunt, and various other things. And so her symbol is also the moon, or she's characterized a lot with the moon, so that's why I also have the glowing moon in the back. Just a little bit of Daniela lore, but sorry, that bust is not Trump, and I don't know if there are Trump busts in the AP shop, but it doesn't hurt to check the AP for Liberty shop just to make sure. Anyway, so we have Robbie Thurman in the chat. Unintelligible, toxic male noises. So good to see you, Robbie Thurman. JJ, of course, is in the chat. Not tired of winning politically, he says. I'm just sick of being single. JJ, your time will come, believe me. It comes for everyone. Eventually, you just have to keep an open mind and an open heart. Not too open of a mind, of course, not too open of a heart. But, you know, you never know who you fall in love with, and that's the beauty of it. But I'm sure your time will come, JJ. You seem like a charming man. Let's see here. Barney Styles. Hello, Barney Styles. She has outgrown the comment section, but I don't think they should have let her go. The comment section, for those that don't know, is the name of the show that Brett Cooper originally hosted. Now it's hosted by Reagan Conrad, her replacement, which is where a lot of this drama is coming from, which we'll talk about. But I do agree with you, Barney. She may have overgrown it, but as we will come to see, her fan base and the entirety of the fan base, really, of the Daily Wire is not happy about the developments concerning that. The viewership on Reagan hosting the comment section is drastically lower than Brett Cooper starting her own thing. She just posted a trailer on her YouTube channel, and that has garnered far more views than the series of videos that Reagan Conrad has done. Anyway, I won't get into it right now. This is just the intro of the show. I'm just saying hello. But yes, she may have outgrown it, but people still miss her over there. Freedom, looking great, Culturama queen. Thank you so much, Freedom, and it's so good to see you, especially on YouTube. Nomad John, Johnny Nomad in the house. Hello, Nomad John. It's good to see you. And Mr. Librisi, again, so I do not know how to pronounce your name accurately, but I love to see you here, Mr. Librisi, on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Excited for the show tonight, he says. Yes, Barney Styles, the Trump Buddha is still in this shop. But as far as an actual bust is concerned, I am not sure. But anyway, let's proceed on with the show. It's so good to see the usuals in the chat, and I hope to see new faces and names moving forward. So it's going to be a really good show, but it's going to be a jam-packed show. Like I said, Donald Trump was on an executive order blitz, and this could be strategic. He could be doing this on purpose, getting out as many things out in the news as possible. Maybe it's a tactic. I don't know, but it is amazing what he is doing. He really seems to be on the warpath for bettering this country and also making the opposition very uncomfortable, which we will come to discuss later in this show. Drummer Goy is in the chat. Okay, Rumble it is. Hello, Drummer. It's so good to see you. And for those that are new, and like I usually say in this stream, is that when chat gets more active, and sometimes I'll have the stories up, I won't have a chance to look at the chat. I don't always have two computer screens, so if you definitely want me to answer a question, given that it's appropriate, of course, and it's left at my discretion whether it's appropriate, or if you want me to interact with your comment directly, in case I won't miss it, Rumble Rant is always the best way to get me to see those comments. So just wanting to let you guys know about that. Alrighty, let me pull up the first story that I wanted to talk about, and it's going to be a little bit of a lighter one because, like I had said, celebrities really like to wield their perceived power. And yes, they do have a certain degree of power and influence over culture, American culture, as far as celebrities are concerned here in the United States. But also they seem to always find a way, especially those out of Hollywood, will always seem to find a way to try to inject themselves into politics. And that's what happened yesterday with Selena Gomez. Yes, she has come out crying about the deportation situation that has been happening. Now, a lot of people have said that this video that she has released doesn't look very authentic. And, I really do feel the same way after watching it. But I wanted to watch it with you guys together to see whether or not you have a good feeling about this video. So let me pull it up for you guys and we can watch it here together. All right. So as far as I am aware, she now has since deleted the video. Selena Gomez has. This is not how I remember seeing her. And just so you guys are aware, I did not grow up watching Selena Gomez or whatever it was she was in. What show? I don't remember what it was called. I think it was about witchcraft or something. Was it called like Wizards of Waverly Palace? I think on Disney Channel. I never watched the Disney Channel as a kid. I am a Nickelodeon girl. I was a Nickelodeon girl. But she has been quite influential in media, especially children's media. So she is a pretty big deal. But this video is certainly pathetic. So let's take a listen here. Let's see if the audio works. By the way, like I said, due to the backlash, she seems, as far as I heard, she officially deleted the video. But of course, with the internet, the beauty of the internet is that nothing ever truly goes away. Could be a horror, could be a beauty. Depends on who you are. But let's take a listen.
All my people are getting attacked. The children.
I think she said all my people in there.
I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Oh, brother.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children.
So,
I don't understand.
so I don't know if you guys are gathering the same feeling that I am from this video, but at least personally to me, it seems like she is not exactly that emotionally invested in it. I know she's crying, okay? She's going through the motions that she needs to appear emotionally invested. But and this was my initial reaction watching it, and this seems to be the initial reaction of a lot of people who have commented on this video, and that is it does not look like she's actually authentic here, and indeed she is an actress. And for example, right here, this George individual, I know my Latinas, and those were definitely not those were definitely paid tears. Exactly. And a lot of people are saying this is complete garbage. This doesn't look accurate. Also, why is she ingratiating herself into this political issue? And what I came across here, interestingly enough, is that, let me just read this out for you. This was posted by Benny Johnson the other day. Selena Gomez is American. Her mom is American. Her Mexican father abandoned them. She went from living in this small Texas home to this $5 million palace in LA. She's a billionaire because of America. Yet she does not consider us her people. We are over ungrateful woke victim brain rot. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly the sentiments. Is that Americans are completely fed up with these propaganda campaigns that are pushed by these celebrities, regardless of their A-list celebrities, or in her case, I suppose it would be like B or C-list. I don't think she's that big, but I could be wrong. But yes, Americans are completely done with it. With the amount of Trump wins that we have seen and the amount of progress and social progress and political progress that we have seen, I think it shows that Americans really got the person they wanted in office to accomplish the tasks that they were craving to see for quite some time. Now, there is some, the deportations did occur under previous presidents. I've heard that under the Obama administration, some have occurred, but for the most part, we have not seen a president in modern history exemplify so much power and, the effective use of his power like we have seen Trump do. And my generation hasn't seen it, at least, throughout our childhood and growing up. The previous generation previous to mine haven't seen it. And really, the new generation that is coming out, specifically Generation Alpha, are going to grow up with a president that is actually utilizing his power. I think the last time that we have seen a president really do something like this to this extent, arguably, would be FDR. And so Trump is certainly emulating that. And truly, Americans are craving to see something like that. And if you just put aside political differences for a second here, whether it's a Republican president or a Democrat president, just the very act of a president using his position, his powerful position and his decision making to actually get things done, to seemingly, whether it was in FDR's case or not, better the country. So we haven't really seen that. And this is what I wanted to talk about at length today on the show. But just to tie this note up in a little neat bow, excuse me. The only good that came out of this video are the memes, like this, for instance. The most we can do is really make fun of these people and laugh at them, because that's all they're good for. They're actors. They're not supposed to weigh in on policy, okay? They shouldn't be activists. They are entertainers, and I think this video is quite entertaining and is making good use of her video, so... Anyway, this is a serious political show, everyone. My apologies. But we do like to have a little bit of fun here as well. Entropy Nomad. Yes, I do like the dancing dog, exactly. Okay, anyway, but I did want to dive into more, policy and discussing the executive orders that have been passed, and also Trump's involvement to the United States specifically, and how he is trying to help certain parts of the nation, specifically California. I have been talking about California quite a bit on this show. We kind of have to, with the, fires that have been happening there and the devastation that has occurred. But I think that what's happening in California and Trump's, and how Trump treats it is also quite indicative of how he is going to utilize his power to better certain states of the country as well, not just engaging with foreign countries. But as we have seen over the weekend also, with Colombia specifically, Trump, his take, no holds barred, is not going to concede to any foreign nation. That's also a big one, and that's what I want to talk about next. So everyone stay tuned. I will be right back. I'm just going to pull up my next few stories, and I'm going to play your guys' favorite commercial, so stay tuned.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling.
Okay, we are back. So, a lot of you have already heard about this. I've been tweeting about it. It happened over the weekend. I didn't have a chance to stream about it, but I have a chance to talk about it now. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I think it is indicating a massive shift in the United States' roles in the international community. Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, I don't know how to say it correctly, Petro, I guess, you roll the R, but he did not want to accept migrants returning back to his country. Once again, these are people from his country. He did not want to accept the citizens of his own country. So he tried to turn the planes back. Okay? Trump had none of it. He wasn't going to concede whatsoever. So he imposed a punishment on them, and Gustavo immediately folded. So I wanted to talk about that with you because I think it's exceedingly important for various reasons. For one, the fact that Gustavo didn't want to accept his own citizens just shows what a major lie and deception it is for us Americans to accept these immigrants into our country, migrants, illegal immigrants. And these are supposed to be dreamers. These are supposed to be, you know, the people that are hardworking and would make our country a better place by the very virtue of them being here. But the fact that their own country doesn't want them shows that perhaps there is something else going on. Perhaps some of these people are not stand-up, you know, citizens or workers of their country from where they fled from. Maybe it's because they have more skeletons in their closet. They have a violent past, a criminal past, and a criminal history. So I just want you guys to question, why is it that Gustavo didn't want to accept them back into his country? Again, his own citizens. I mean, how are they supposed to feel when a leader of their country wants to turn him away if he's simply just trying to prove a point? Or, once again, is there something deeper going on here? Let me read to you this article that I have pulled up about this story, and we have a couple of videos to watch as well. Okay. So ignore this ad at the top. Here is the article just to give you guys some context and to encapsulate everything regarding the story that has happened this last weekend. But Colombian leader quickly caves after Trump threats, offers presidential plane for deportation flights. Okay. So Colombian President Gustavo Petro swiftly backtracked on his refusal to accept deportation flights from the United States after President Donald Trump threatened tariffs and other measures. The White House confirmed on Sunday, so just over a day ago, that Colombia's president had caved to, quote, to all of President Trump's terms, including the unrestricted acceptance of illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States, including the U.S. military aircraft, without limitation or delay. So I don't know what it is, what happened to have Gustavo make this initial stance that he did. Perhaps it was a cabal of, I don't know what, these international players that try to tell him, look, this is your moment to shine. You can be the one guy, the underdog that stands up against big, bad, mean Trump. You can show the world how you are a freedom fighter and how you are, you know, working against the overrepresented and colonial powers of the United States. Put Trump in his place. But so I don't know, it seems like he was talked into this initially, but as soon as he got the punishment that is so well deserved, immediately he folded. He was going to place tariffs back at the United States and threw that out there, but that's such a joke compared to, you know, what Colombia is, what the potential of Colombia is to produce versus the United States. I mean, who's going to benefit or suffer from these tariffs versus the other? I think the power play and the power dynamic is a bit unbalanced there. So clearly, perhaps after he thought about this practically and rationally for a brief, perhaps 3 minutes, he realized that what he was doing was quite a mistake. Based on the agreement, the fully drafted IEEPA tariffs and sanctions would be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement, the statement said. The visa sanctions issued by the State Department and enhanced inspections from Customs and Border Protection will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombian deportees is successfully returned. Okay, today's events mark a clear... Sorry about that. I can't read. I usually can't read out loud. Today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again. The statement added, President Trump will continue to fiercely protect our nation's sovereignty, and he expects all other nations of the world to fully cooperate in accepting the deportation of their citizens illegally present in the United States. So earlier in the day, Sunday, Gustavo folded immediately after Trump threatened to punish the country for refusing deportation flights. So here is a video also detailing this. Let's take a listen.
Ivan Well just asked Colombia's president. It didn't take long for him to cave into President Donald Trump's stern tariff warnings after the country initially said they would not take in U.S. military planes with illegal immigrant criminals on board that were being deported back to Colombia. Their president, Gustavo Petro, had a quick about face after Trump said, if you don't take them, We're slapping a 25% tariff on your goods this week. Oh, and by the way, that goes to 50% the following week. And so many other sanctions as well. So what did Colombia's president do? Gustavo said, okay, actually, let me offer the presidential plane to help facilitate a dignified
And
return.
that's how you do it.
Let's bring in retired Navy Captain Hung Kowski.
So I just wanted to watch the first part of that video. But yeah, I mean, really, what like I said in the beginning of this stream, is that what Trump is doing is huge. It is once again showing that American leadership, particularly the president, can utilize his powers to benefit the country once again, regardless of what international scholars will say, international political scholars will tell him, or international relations scholars, I guess you could say. Despite what the experts tell him, the experts say that you are supposed to concede and you're supposed to, maintain positive relations and non-conflictual relations all the time. And it's really a feminized way of dealing with conflict and dealing with other countries. And for multiple administrations, we have been experiencing this, and we have been experiencing this toxic feminine way of dealing with other countries and other countries' leadership. And then all of a sudden, Trump comes in his second term and says, what is going on here? Why are we being taken advantage of by the rest of these other countries, especially as a country as big and as powerful as we are? And like I said, he's taking the FDR approach, where he finally comes in and actually does something about the issues that we are finding ourselves in. So he basically just hand waves the experts. And really the question is, like, what good is it what the experts say on this matter? And listen, as a previous political science student and graduate, I understand that there is different theories about how, especially when it comes to international relations, there's different theories and different perceptions that can be adopted that, is supposed to execute a certain manner of doing things and are supposed to have a higher success rate. And there's certainly different ways to analyze certain procedures and different interactions. Human behavior and human psychology plays a big deal in how we evaluate our interactions with other countries and international relations, but also in domestic affairs as well. So I completely understand that the expert opinion, comes from a place of genuine research and effective analyses. But at the same time, I think that as an international system, especially how the United States has decided to interact with the rest of this network, has just simply not been working. And we have been servile to a degree where I don't think it's very appropriate. We have been very self-sacrificing as a nation, to the extent where it is ruining the lives of nationals. I understand that as a wealthy and successful nation, it would make sense to bring other beneficiaries or other countries that would benefit from an alliance with us. It's good to make positive alliances, absolutely, especially with peripheral countries, being a core power. But it has gotten to a point where, like I've talked about this show already multiple times and how others have said this, it has gotten to a point where it is seriously, directly, negatively impacting Americans here in the country. It's impacting us on various ways, whether it's the price of goods, whether it's the job market, whether it's certain population displacement, whatever you may say about that. There's different aspects of how illegal immigration is negatively affecting us. But the main way how it has negatively impacted us is that the criminal behavior and the drug trafficking that has completely decimated our country was ignored for so long. And that's the important issue that we need to stress, is that our country, regardless of what you say about the other stuff, safety, national security and safety is number one. And when a country cannot even protect its own citizens, there's something wrong. And finally, we have a president that actually recognizes that, and he understands human psychology and human behavior quite a bit. So you can hand wave experts right now, because right now we are in a position where our country is falling apart. We don't have time to listen to experts because we've tried that and it just doesn't work. In other news, however, it turns out that there's rumors that Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, could also be in an affair. And even though this isn't serious news, I did find this quite interesting. I'm sorry for the ads, by the way, you guys. Slowing down the computer. Here we go. There we go. By the way, he's married. Married Colombian President Gustavo Petro says he's not gay after he is seen in Panama with a trans woman known as Linda Yepes. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Yepes. Again, I only skimmed at this because it doesn't really concern me whether or not the Colombian president is, he swings that way. I don't really care. But people were, kind of tarnishing his image after this whole political endeavor had come out. So I did find it interesting, but I don't know how accurate this is. Again, this is all alleged. I just found a news story about this, so I wanted to read it off to you guys. I do find it a bit funny, but again, what does it say about this man's character? I mean, he may like transgender individuals, but he is married. But let's take a read about this. Let's take a read about this. That makes no sense. Colombia's married president Gustavo Petro found himself in an outrageous scandal after he was accused of cheating on his wife with a transgender woman. I feel very, very bad for his wife. The leftist president's office has refused to comment on a video circulating online that supposedly shows Petro walking up with Colombian newscaster, she's a newscaster, okay, Linda Yepes, after the inauguration of the Panamanian president Jose Raúl Mulino on Sunday. The bombshell video, which shows a man and a woman walking hand in hand before he stops to lovingly take her a picture of her, has scandalized Colombia and the region, as reported by Telemundo. And there's a picture right there that's the transgender individual Linda, and that's the Colombian president. So there you go. But anyway, in other news, like I said, Trump is taking full advantage of his position, and it's finally time that we have a man that went into office that is engaging politically in ways that actually benefit our country and engaging in ways that I'm just going to say are masculine. The effete way of dealing in the international system has been done by so long, and it is a very feminine way of doing things. It really is. It's a communication style that's very non-conflictual. And we need someone right now that is conflictual, and that's what Trump is. He's very conflictual, but he's also very direct, and he is very objective-driven. And you know what? When things get awkward, he lays down the law, and that's what he's done with the Colombian situation. And so we are bringing back a new era, I really feel like, of, I guess you could say, of masculine decision-making in the presidency, in the Oval Office. But regarding deportations specifically, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there are deportation protests happening. It's a great spot for ICE to visit, so they're just making the job easier for ICE operatives. But let's take a look. There you go. There's that protest going on. Fitting music, of course. Look how many people just hate the fact that we want to keep our country safe again. All the Mexican flags. I do wonder if they have so many Mexican flags, why are they still in this country? It's so perfect. It's almost like it is a honeypot for ICE. I mean, it's right there. It's just sitting there. They're getting the attention. I do wonder if people have called ICE on them. But yes, there have been various protests all throughout the country against these deportations. I found this meme funny. There's the bordered czar, as they call him. Okay, and then lastly, I did want to cover this. So apparently Dr. Phil is also part of the ICE operations. Let's take a listen. Now, I had originally linked the original video clip of him interviewing these deportees, but it has since then, literally live as I'm streaming this show, it was taken down. So I had to find another clip with it. This is from NBC News, but they are playing the clip right here. So this is the one I could find, you guys. Sorry, I don't have the original video, but let's take a listen, and it's rather interesting. Now, I always knew, everyone already knows that Dr. Phil is a bit conservative, but his interactions with the deportees is rather interesting. So let's take a listen.
Chicago was Dr. Phil McGraw, the TV host embedded with U.S. immigration enforcement officers during an operation in Chicago on Sunday, defending President Donald Trump's deportation effort. Here's a clip of one of those arrests carried out with the Trump administration border czar Tom Homan.
So if you guys can't tell, they blurred out, the original video didn't have all this blurring. I hate NBC. Okay, so this is Dr. Phil right here, right behind me, and this is the criminal that they are going to deport. So
yeah, are you a citizen?
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
But you've never been deported before?
Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
Yeah?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted
There's
of
Homan right there.
sex crimes involving children. He's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with. Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
What is that supposed to mean? Dr. Phil's asking, has he been charged with sex crimes with children? His response is not really. How does that exactly work?
Really?
All right, and with that, Dr. Phil McGraw joins Top Story once again. He's the host of Dr. Phil Primetime on Merit TV. Dr. Phil, it's great to see you again. So, Dr. Phil, I'm going to ask you this very plainly, right? Everyone knows who you are. You're a psychologist, Hall of Fame broadcaster, you're a celebrity. What exactly?
He's looking very still right here. He's locked in.
What exactly were you doing there this weekend on those raids?
Well, Tom, thanks for having me again. It's good to see you again. This is something that I deal with what people are interested in and how it's impacting their lives. And our viewing audience is very interested in these immigration laws and what's happening. It was one of the top issues on people's minds culturally and what's impacting their family. And we talk about the things that people are interested in on Merit TV. And what we want to do is show them with full transparency what's actually happening. And, there's been a lot of talk out there about sweeping through neighborhoods, just picking up people indiscriminately, and I wanted to see if that was happening. Part of my embedding within this group was to ask Tom Homan hard questions. I asked him, are you just sweeping through neighborhoods and picking up people that are here illegally? And he said, no, that's not our intention. We have our plan right now is worst first. We're going after those that have the worst criminal records first. And this is a surgical, tactical plan to go in and get those people. And sanctuary cities are not letting them know when they have these people in custody so they can come to the jail and pick them up. And what's happening with sanctuary cities is they're creating that which they want the least, and that is they're causing these agents, as Gabe was talking about, to go into the communities and arrest these people on the job or in their neighborhoods. And when they go in to get someone that's a violent criminal, whoever's with them, they're going to find out who those people are, and they may wind up arresting them as well. Because when they run into someone that is in the country illegally, they are going to detain them and move them for deportation. That's not going to happen if they'll let them know when these people are in jail and being released back into the community. Pick them up right there.
Dr. Phil, from what you saw, were these undocumented immigrants being treated humanely?
Okay, here we go.
Absolutely. I was there at 4 a.m. when they had the debriefing. This was a multi-agency meeting with ICE, DEA, ATF, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and their number one concern was the safety of their agents, of all the people in the community, and of the people that they were targeting. Even though they're criminals, they were very concerned with their safety and getting them detained out of the community and into custody safely. They said, let's make sure everybody gets home safely today.
Dr. Phil, so you heard Gabe's reporting there, my conversation with him. Of the, nearly 1,200 people arrested on Sunday, nearly half of those people weren't considered people with criminal records, right? Their offense was that they were here illegally. You just said you were told the worst first. It appears, at least on this day, that's not exactly what happened. Again, as Gabe pointed out, it's very complex. But does it sow doubt now with Americans and maybe with the world that it is going to be a roundup? It's not just the worst first, it's whoever they can grab. Is that your sense?
Absolutely not. But let me tell you, they're in the country illegally, and Tom Homan's intention is, if you're in the country illegally, you need to self-deport.
Speaking of celebrities and ingratiating themselves into political events, this is our guy though. So it sounds like it's good to hear from at least Dr. Phil's perspective what's going on. I just found that interesting that he was all of a sudden, he's in the middle of these events here, but good for him and being a part of it. That interview is going a little too long, so I just want to go through we'll go through the chat here. But God bless him. God bless Mr. Dr. Phil. Okay, let me double check in the chat here. I do see we have quite a bit of activity. I wanted to interact with you guys a little bit. Dash, so masculine is being a jerk. I wouldn't say it's being a jerk. I would say it's being direct in communication, and it's standing up for your people and standing up for your country. Like I said, there's nationals here, citizens are just frankly fed up with the crime that we have been seeing. People have lost their lives due to this illegal immigration, and it was so unfortunate to see the previous administration just really do nothing about it. And so people have been saying daddy's back, daddy's home with the whole Trump thing, with Trump going into office. And I don't like that terminology, but I think it summarizes sort of the sentiment that people are craving, that not just a charismatic leader, not just a powerful leader, but a leader that we can actually take seriously. And it's difficult to take a leader seriously that it just doesn't seem like they have the citizens where they have the best intentions to increase the positive element in American civilization. It doesn't seem like they want to make citizens' lives better when you have a more of a feminine approach to how you govern. That just seems to be the case. Now, do you sometimes need nuance when you are nation building, or when you are trying to exert certain influence in the international system or make alliances with certain nations? Yeah, of course. There's a time and a place for everything in decision making and like that, or relationship building or alliance building. But for the most part, I would say that stuff or that style isn't exactly the most effective in doing that. It looks like we got a donation in by Row House. It's so good, Row House. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you in the chat. Thank you so much for the $2, Row House. Okay, Row House wrote for the $2. That was strange. I just heard a very long siren outside. Row House had $2. Do we need to move past this only if they commit crimes? Hold on a second. Do we need to move past this Only if they commit crimes can they be deported. If they are here legally, then they have no right to be here. It needs to send a message to stop the constant flow. Absolutely agree with you, Row House. And this is why I mentioned all the other aspects of why we should deport them. It's affecting the country in multiple ways. Like I said, it is affecting the job market. It is affecting our culture, frankly. And also, I said most importantly, it is actually putting citizens' lives at risk here. And that's also the most egregious, because you can hand wave all the other issues, like you see like, for instance, the birth rate of the illegal immigrants is higher than it is of American citizens, right? Or heritage Americans, or job displacement could be a major issue. Those things, I think need to be addressed. But if an administration goes long enough ignoring those issues, you could always talk your way out of it and find justifications for it. Socially, it doesn't look as bad, even though I disagree with those justifications, and I'm sure you would as well, Row House. But what I find especially evil is when there really is like a national security threat happening and people's lives are being taken from this criminal activity. And also they are bringing in these drugs that are also affecting the safety and security of our country. That I think is especially bad, is when you still find justifications and excuses for not dealing with that and retaliating. And so that's all I meant by saying that it seems to be the most important, because it shows really the corruption of the previous administrations that didn't want to deal with it, even though their own citizens and their own constituency was directly suffering from it. But they were materially suffering from it. Also, thank you for joining the chat, Steelbringer. It's good to see you as well. So anyway, yes, if you guys want me to directly interact with your chats, send in a Rumble rant. Also, it just goes a long way in supporting the show. And also, like the stream, share it. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet it, like the stream. If you may not be able to donate directly to the stream, it goes a long way in just supporting the stream if you just share it, like it. And of course, as usual, comment as well. I love to see the activity in the chat. So anyway, big things happening. I also wanted to talk about the more brand new executive orders. That was just our deportation watch. And like I said, very funny that Dr. Phil was involved in that. But we have a lot more to cover. Specifically, I wanted to talk about the trans ban from the military, which, again, another long way in supporting the national security of our country. Huge. So we're going to be talking about that. And I did want to touch on the funding freeze, as well as Trump's visitation to California and questioning the usability of FEMA, because as we all know, FEMA is very effective in what they do. So I still have a lot more to cover with you guys, so stay tuned. I'm going to pull up my next few stories, get a drink of water, and I shall be right back. Just stay tuned, everyone.
Are crawling like bugs in the night. Freedom's calling, gotta rise and fight. We'll stomp 'em out with all our might. Watch 'em scatter in fear and fright. Crushing commies beneath our shoes like tiny pests with nothing to lose. Crushing commies, our anthem strong. Stand united where we belong.
In our little town, so serene, where the grass is green, the air so clean. We gather round the table every night, joyful days, oh what sight, with values passed, with generations past, living life with love that that'll surely last. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight in our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine. Working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright, got too tight, but our hearts the same old fire. Yeah, oh yeah. We sway with every change of time, but in our hearts, old love and soul, that baby in our heart, getting like a tornado in this fast-paced world we can fight. Traditions keep our hearts going wild. But you'll find our hearts in the ways we got it by the good old days.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway. In the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down.
Alrighty, we are back. Thank you everyone that is sticking around and writing in the chat. I always love to see your guys' interactions. I did want to say one thing before we proceed further, and this relates to the Colombia conversation that we just had. And that is, I've seen a lot of people come out on Twitter and say that, well, there's certain products that we just simply will not get from Colombia if we do this, including coffee. And my answer to that is, why would I ever want to drink Colombian coffee after this entire endeavor? Also, you can get coffee from literally anywhere else. And so this is why I did want to make a brief plug here with the Culturama coffee. The Culturama shop has, if you guys didn't already know, we have our own coffee brand. And a little later, I'll be showing a page I'll be showing you guys a page about where to order that, but I have the Culturama, here's the Culturama mug, and as well, if you want to drink the coffee in the mug. And just so you guys know, if you do buy yourself a bag of Culturama branded coffee, it is our Atomic Blonde coffee. It is from Costa Rica. It is not from Colombia, so you do not have to worry about supporting the socialist president of Colombia in that respect. Anyway, proceeding further in the stories that I have here for you guys. Okay, let me pull it up here. But I did want to. We have a lot. I have a lot of tabs open. I don't know where to start first, but we'll start by watching this video first. I found this interesting. It sort of pertains to our last topic here with deporting criminals out of our country. But this person writes, Trump just announced, I believe this was posted yesterday. Yes, it was posted yesterday. Trump just announced that he wants to remove repeat offenders from the U.S. and pay a foreign country a small fee to care for them abroad. I don't want these violent repeat offenders in our country any more than I want illegal aliens. Let's take a listen to this. This is big.
People. They're violent people. I used to say these are more violent than our criminals. In fact, the best part about them is they make our criminals look quite nice, actually, by comparison. They are very violent people. We also have many violent criminals in our country, however, that did not necessarily come here illegally, but have been arrested 30 times, 35 times, 41, 42 times in a couple of cases, 25 times, 18 times, many for murder, other heinous charges such as pushing people into subways. As the train's coming along at 45 miles an hour, boom, you get pushed into the subway. They had it last week. Hitting them in the head with baseball bats while they're not looking, punching old ladies in the face, knocking them unconscious and stealing their purse. They even break into apartments and rape elderly women and beat up elderly men, beat them to hell.
Yeah.
And I don't want these violent repeat offenders in our country any more than I want illegal aliens from other countries who misbehave.
This is huge, you guys, and it's
really
sending a strong message.
To getting it approved, but if they've been arrested many, many times, they're repeat offenders by many numbers. I want them out of our country. I also will be seeking permission to do so. We're going to get approval, hopefully, to get them the hell out of our country along with others. Let them be brought to a foreign land and maintained by others for a very small fee as opposed to being maintained in our jails for massive amounts of money, including the private prison companies that charge us a fortune. Let them be brought out of our country and let them live there for a while. Let's see how they like it. You'll see crime all over the country dry up. Essentially, that's what Venezuela and other countries are doing. They're getting rid of their criminals and putting them into the United States of America.
Exactly. And he is playing by their rules. So they're going to get a taste of their own medicine. This is what third world nations are doing to us. God forbid a far more powerful core nation does it to them, they crumble. And this is why Colombia didn't want to accept the deportations back into their country, their own citizens, because the entire thing is a farce. Painting these people as, these poor, hardworking individuals that will greatly benefit or better our country. These are dreamers, these are potentially even the next Elon Musks. It's all a farce. It's all false. It's not true, because these countries know pretty well. They know quite a bit about their culture and about the types of people that they are sending into our country. And so Trump isn't stupid. He is well aware of this. But instead of what, like I said, the experts say, to just put up with it and make alliances with these countries that, frankly, we don't even need to have alliances with, Colombia, Venezuela. But he's playing by their own rules. He's getting them a taste of their own medicine, and that's very satisfying to see.
Their crime is down by almost 80%. We're going to restore law and order in America, and we want to bring back the death penalty for these horrible people that kill people. They kill people.
They do.
It's always a tough thing to say because I don't like it. Nobody likes it. But if you don't do it, we're just...
No one will.
We're just
we got to do it. So, yes, he's taking, some would say, a hard stance, but it's a necessary stance. Anyway, let's get a welfare check going on California, or a wellness check. Let's see how California is standing. I do talk about California quite frequently ever since the wildfires have occurred, but that's only because Gavin Newsom is such a sad sack. So we have to discuss it. But Donald Trump does want to bring in emergency military powers into California to navigate water into the state from the Pacific Ocean. And so I wanted to discuss a little bit about that. And it's interesting to see how the governing structure of California is responding a bit negatively to it, even though the president wants to help them out. You know, they're still going on the track of biting the hand that feeds you. Apparently, they think that is a very effective measure. So let's read this tweet from Donald Trump under the account Donald J. Trump posts from his Truth Social. The United States military just entered the United States military just entered the great state of California, and under emergency powers, turned on the water, all in caps, beautiful, flowing abundantly from the Pacific Northwest and beyond. The days of putting a fake environmental argument over the people are over. Enjoy the water, California. Donald Trump, Truth Social post, 11:12 p.m. EST. So there you have it. I said Pacific Ocean. I meant to say Pacific Northwest. Sorry about that. But yes. So emergency powers are being used, emergency military powers, to intervene in what California is doing. And like I said, they're not working fast enough, at least under Donald Trump's purview. That seems to be the case. And people are, dramatically suffering there. And it doesn't seem like their government really knows what they're doing. And the reason why I say that is because, once again, I want to remind you guys, they had $50 million just lying around, and they used it to stop deportation operations and to, what they said, de-Trumpify the state. This is a government the Democratic officials of California saying this. This is a governor, Gavin Newsom, saying this. And so that's why it seems a little inept of them to try and deal with this natural disaster relief programs they're doing, and it just doesn't seem to be as effective. So Donald Trump is doing a wellness check on California as well, and he has had a little bit of a meeting with the mayor of LA, and they clash a little bit. What a surprise. Let's listen to this. It's rather interesting.
Yes, and we will clear the lots, absolutely, in the city and in the
It's a bit echoey,
we are
but
working together. Both levels of government are working in
Well, we were told last night from the Corps of Engineers that it'd be 18 months. Is it not 18 months? Is it like... that's the answer that we got.
There's our guy sitting there with the little symbol.
So if you're telling us now faster, is it 6 months? Is it, all of our lives, rents, all this stuff is weighing on this.
6 months ain't no good. And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it, because by the time you hire contractors, it's...
So for those that aren't up to speed here, the LA mayor is saying that there's a certain process involved to clean up debris before they could proceed further into the relief programs they have. And Donald Trump is saying, well, why not just have them do it now? The people that are directly affected would do this. They would clean up debris. Why are we going through all of these? Why do we have to jump through all these hoops to get anything done in a timely manner? And so their interaction is just interesting. Let's continue.
It'll be 2 years.
If
2 years,
family,
people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people.
I know my
You'll be
people.
on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition
Exactly, 'cause
contractor.
you know
That's going to charge
that the official, that people that they have assigned to do this is going to take a long time. It's bureaucracy like anything else. And Donald Trump's aware of this, and that's why he's saying that, hey, look, we can do this more efficiently. Let's just let the people directly affected actually, you know, take part in the process.
$25,000 to do his lot. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I
the
mean, you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes.
24
and
hours.
If individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
When?
Mr. President.
We
The
think
people are-
within a week.
Within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most
a
important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
I just want to thank you for your focus on sanity to California, water, and fire policy.
The long housing of everything. My God, these people lost their homes. They just want to clean up debris, and she still has to long house everything having to do with this process. Man.
In
The
many
longhouse
respects,
effect.
it was a depressing day, but in many respects, it was a beautiful day because the spirit is so incredible. North Carolina and here, very, very similar situation.
She just wants people to be safe.
Different, so different and yet so similar, actually.
No, she just wants to take
It
as long
is
of a time as
devastation.
possible.
It's incredible. It's really an incineration. Even some of the chimneys came down, okay? When you have the chimneys come down, you know that's pretty hot stuff, and a lot of them were down. That was a bad sign, too. I do have to say FEMA is a big disappointment.
No, he's talking about FEMA
we had
here.
it
We have
working well.
we
had
have
great
another
people.
clip where he talks about FEMA, but we can still finish
But
this
FEMA's
clip.
not good anymore. What FEMA did in North Carolina, you know, they still haven't even gone to certain areas. They don't know what they're doing. And I say, you don't need FEMA. You need a good state government.
Exactly. And I think it's very powerful what Trump is doing here. And he's not, like I said, yes, he wants to help the people of California. He wants to help American citizens. He's also doing this, I think, strategically, politically, because California has been a stronghold for Democrat influence for quite some time. And by virtue of him just coming in and speaking at the level of the citizens affected here and saying they just want to have this process be efficient, stop long housing and bureaucratizing the process, let people pick up the darn debris so they can, drive on the roads, go to work. And people see this, though they have just been directly affected on a very basal level. I mean, they've genuinely lost resources that they need in some ways to survive. They lost homes. They lost, the foundational element of survival. And still you have people, experts, like the mayor saying, well, hold on, you can't help yourselves quite yet. We're not out of the woods yet. We still have this entire process we have to do that could effectively take months. And by Trump coming in and saying it like it is, frankly, and saying like, hey, look, we can get this done sooner. Just let the people take part of the process, and they're barred from doing so. I think it shows that there are massive changes that will happen politically in California for the next couple years. I think that the Californian people are going to be truly, not obviously they're truly affected by this phenomenon or this disaster, but they're also going to be truly touched by what Trump is saying here, because he's speaking at their level and he just wants to get things done. And they want to get things done. And they're becoming aware of the fact that their elites in the state of California and their governing structure doesn't seem like they want to get anything done. This is why I titled this stream Trump Against the World, because he literally is going against the world and dealing with certain foreign governments, but he's also trying to deal with the corrupted elements of our country, which largely include Democrat leadership. Here's another heated exchange. This is in the same panel, but this is about FEMA. So let's take a listen.
That was the old days.
We already heard a little bit about this exchange in the previous video, but this one focuses solely on the FEMA question.
Is when FEMA was good. FEMA's no good anymore. That was when we ran it. FEMA was very good, but now FEMA's not good.
Some good news from Paradise. We stood together there 6 years ago, along with the governor.
That was so true.
That 3,400 homes have been rebuilt out of the 18,000 lost, and there's 400 more in the wings. And so FEMA was very helpful. Now my colleague who has Altadena here, probably a very similar situation. Clearing the lots, they're probably going to have to clear about a foot worth of soil underneath those foundations to get the toxicity out. So they'll need a lot of help. Those are working class folks in Altadena.
And we did a good job with you
and
people.
FEMA was extremely helpful.
Yep.
30,000.
That was the old days when FEMA was good. FEMA's no good anymore.
Yeah.
That was when we ran it. FEMA was very good, but now FEMA's not good.
We got to get them on track. But on the water, thanks so much for your strong efforts on that. Right now, Lake Shasta, which is in my district, is dumping more water than what is coming in.
I just love how he's just telling him like it is. Like I said, we really seen that in a president? We haven't in so long. It's really refreshing to see here.
So is Folsom Lake. And those are federal projects that should be building up because we're latter January here. And you can't count on the rain and the snow coming every year. And so if we don't fill those projects, then my colleague in San Joaquin Valley isn't going to get his water for his farmers. Well, it might be all right up in the north. They aren't going to get it. And then the water needs to go through aqueduct for Southern Cal to refill maybe the Santa Ynez Reservoir that was empty during this.
You don't even need reservoirs. With the water coming down, you don't need the reservoir. You have so much water, you don't need it. You only have reservoirs because you're trying to hold water. But you have natural water coming down along the coast. It's for 1 million years it's been coming. You know that, right?
Years.
In addition to that, you have a lot of half pipe. In other words, you have the half pipe that's built, and it hasn't been used. You see, it's bone dry. No water's been in that half pipe for years and years. It was closed up years ago.
Had the reservoir,
It's already there. Yeah.
Had the reservoir above Palisades been full, they wouldn't have run out of water in a few hours. It would have gone for at least a few days with 40 acre feet out of 600,000.
That reservoir's been empty for a long time.
Yep.
It shouldn't have been empty.
And there you go. It's been around for millions of years. Why not actually take advantage of it? Okay, I see that I got some donations in the chat, and I wanted to read those off before we proceed further. Because I still have a lot more stories to deal with here. This stream might go a little longer today since it is Tuesday. Okay, let me see here. I'm working with one screen here. All right. We have Steelbringer. Thank you, Steelbringer, so much. He says he donated $5. He donated $5. He said, "We don't need no commie coffee. This is good." And then he links to the Atomic Blonde shop coffee at the Fort Liberty shop. Thank you so much for the plug, Steelbringer. And Steelbringer actually did make a post about my coffee earlier this week. I believe it was on Sunday, and I did want to thank you, Steelbringer, for making that post. He was one of the first fans that made a post about the coffee and gave it a great review. And I wanted to thank you, Steelbringer, for that. Thank you so much. And I reposted it. It's on my profile on Twitter. Thank you so much, Steelbringer. I might pull up your review a little later here in the stream. And then we also have $2 from Entropy Nomad. Thank you, Entropy. It's always good to see you in the chat. $2. He writes, the system barely worked in good conditions. Why do these officials expect us to trust the process during a crisis? Exactly. I think that it has a lot to do with elitism and power. Those who obtain and retain those positions of power really do have this I don't know what it is, but like this element to them or this aura about them where they frankly think that they are better than your average American citizen, than your average worker, your average middle-class American. And these people may very well be middle-class themselves. It just depends what office they're holding. But or what position they have. But with in many cases, with specific types of people and specific temperaments of people, once they get a little taste of influence over your life and everyone else's life, they just want to maintain that system. And this doesn't happen with everyone. Obviously, we have people like Donald Trump that want to come in and basically dismantle the system for the betterment of the country. If he sees that it's ineffective, he's going to say it's ineffective, right? So it doesn't happen with every, elected official, but it does happen often. And a lot of the times, even in other sectors, like you see this a lot in the nonprofit sector as well, and other forms of leadership, they want to maintain a certain system that ensures that they continue making certain decisions and retain that certain level of decision-making power that they can wield over other people. So that's just what we're dealing with here, and I think that's what it all comes down to. I don't think their intentions are necessarily bad. I don't think all of these people, for the most part, I don't attribute malice to it as stupidity to most people, and so I don't think they want to ruin the lives of Californian citizens or, or regardless of who we're dealing with here or the rest of the nation. But I think it more has to do with their desire to retain control, and so. This is why we need less government bureaucrats and officials. And this is why I do consider myself, for the most part, a libertarian, because power corrupts, and I don't like it when people tell me what to do, because I know what they're doing. They want control. They want control over your life. They want control over my life, even if that means to our detriment. So, Robbie Thurman says he's dealt with FEMA after a 2010 tornado. I'm sorry to hear that you dealt with that, Robbie. He said it was pretty meh. Yeah. We had FEMA come up where I live a couple years ago. We had flooding, and it didn't affect me. I live up in the mountains, but it affected the local area here, and FEMA came over as well. I don't know what the response was like. But I think I've heard, for the most part, the general sentiment, similarly to what you're saying, Robbie, it was pretty meh. Nelson65 says he has the power now. Indeed, you do, Nelson, and it's good to see you in the chat. Okay, thank you so much for the donations, you guys. I love to see it. I love to see it. We have a couple more stories here I have pulled up, so I wanted to get to those. Trump executive order halts federal gender transition support for minors. Let's talk about that. That's a pretty big one. And then he does sign an executive order banning transgenders from engaging in the military. So I want to talk about this. So let me change the screen here again. Okay, another big win, everyone. Again, like I said, are we tired of winning yet? Because I certainly am not. It is in my state. It is in my constitution to perpetually win. This is manifestation at work, everyone. Trump executive order halts federal gender transition support for minors. Let's take a read. I don't know why I say that. That makes no sense. Let's take a read. I think I'm thinking in my head, let's take a listen, maybe. But we're reading, we're not listening. Okay, on Tuesday, today, Donald Trump signed an executive order that restricts federal support for gender transition treatments, or what they call as gender-affirming care and gender-affirming surgeries. But this also includes puberty blockers, hormones, and for individuals under the age of 19. Okay, it's not 18, it's 19 here. The order has sparked significant debate. And anyway, it goes and explain the discourse, but this is what we're focusing on here. So he signed this executive order today, and like it says, it's not just surgeries, but it's also puberty blockers and hormones. This is huge. This is what the right wing has been crusading against for quite a number of years now, and it's here. Big major W. I mean, this is huge. This is something that we have been trailblazing against as conservatives, trying to protect children. Children's lives were being absolutely ruined. The detransition rate was spiking. Now, among Zoomers, especially with females or biological females, lives were absolutely ruined. And this is what he needs to do now is do investigations on the doctors that would go forth with these transitions here with these children. That's what I want. I want a tribunal. Okay, Donald Trump posts. Let's see here. Today, it was my great honor to sign an executive order banning the chemical castration, call it like it is, and medical mutilation of innocent children in the United States of America. Our nation will no longer fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support the so-called gender-affirming care, which has already ruined far too many precious lives. My order directs agencies to use every available means to cut off federal financial participation in institutions which seek to provide these barbaric medical procedures. This is crazy. By the way, this is the first time I'm reading this post. This was signed today. I didn't have a chance to look it over, so this is amazing. He's really direct here, calling it like it is, a barbaric. That should have been allowed to take place. That should have never been allowed to take place. Amazing. Okay, this is so... I'm not going to use the R slur on this show, but this is still so stupid. Viagra, hair transplants, and men taking testosterone, those are all gender-affirming care. You lady are not mentally stable is my best guess here. Men taking testosterone or hair transplants is not the equivalent as getting a mastectomy as a teenager. Or fundamentally making you infertile for the rest of your life. Just because when you were 14 you decided that you were a different gender or sex now as what it is federally recognized. But could you make the assertion that Viagra, hair transplants, man taking testosterone, or a woman getting breast augmentation surgery or making her breasts larger is a form of gender-affirming care? You could make that argument, but it is not nearly the same thing as what we are dealing with, children seeking gender-affirming care. Like, also, would you give a child Viagra? This is so stupid. I mean, this order specifically I just read this comment. I'm going off on it. Yeah, this person's being obtuse. This order specifically relates to children and protecting children from these surgeries and from this chemical castration. I mean, it says nothing here about after reaching the age of 19 and older, you can't pursue these treatments. So I don't know what she means by that. But anyways, really big development here. Here, let's see if there's anything else. No, I think it was just that post. So this is really huge. I mean, obviously, you're going to have people from the left, specifically from the LGBTQIA plus mafia, state that this is a direct attack on their own culture or subculture and their own influence in public policy and in politics in America. They're going to say this, but what they have been doing was sterilizing and chemically castrating our young. And it is very dangerous. It is a dangerous trend, and it has been proven that this is, to a large degree, just a trend. And there's a term I'm looking for here, a social contagion. It has been a social contagion, and you could say that this is limiting the very presence and existence of trans folks, as what they like to say. And you could make that argument. And the argument is, I think the retort for that is, so what? This is not an attack on the existence of trans people altogether, but limiting their influence on culture isn't such a bad idea. There's no reason, I'm sorry to say, but there's no reason why a young person under the age of 18 or 19 or whatever the cutoff was, there's no reason why a child should be making those decisions for themselves. And if they really want to transition once they reach adulthood, that is their prerogative. They can still seek that, as far as I'm aware. And, leftists will say, well, this is, if you push off transition long enough, it'll be far more difficult once you reach adulthood. And I say to that, who cares? If they really want it, they'll do it anyway. But letting children pursue this during a very developmental stage of their lives, a very impressionable stage in their lives, there is absolutely no reason why we should allow them to pursue these self-mutilating processes. And that is what it is. It's self-mutilating. Okay, here's another major story that I wanted to cover that sort of relates. Trump signs an executive order barring trans people from the military. This has happened a few days ago, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it, so I want to talk about it on my stream. President Donald Trump signed 4 executive orders pertaining to the military on Monday, including one barring trans people from enlisting and serving openly, and another cracking down on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the armed services. Thank God. It is time. It is about time that happened. This is a question of national security. It seems like with the series of his executive orders, Trump's number one thing appears to be national security. The order pertaining to transgender military service, titled Prioritizing Military Excellence and Readiness, reinstates a policy from Trump's first term and rescinds an order by then President Joe Biden that allowed trans people to enlist and get permitted already enlisted trans service members to receive coverage for transition-related medical care. It is the policy of the United States government to establish high standards for troop readiness, lethality, cohesion, honesty, humility, uniformity, and integrity, as it should be, the order states. This policy is inconsistent with the medical, surgical, and mental health constraints in individuals with gender dysphoria. This policy is also inconsistent with the shifting pronoun usage and use of pronouns that inaccurately reflect an individual's sex. Not gender, sex. The order mandates that the Defense Department update its military medical standards within 60 days, promptly, and invented an identification-based pronoun usage, and prohibit people from assigned male at birth from using women's sleeping, changing, and bathing facilities. Also protecting female spaces, very important for social cohesion. And cohesion is a very necessary thing to have in the military. And so this is also facilitating that as well, once again. All I can say to this is thank God. I don't have more things to say about this because I think it's rather self-evident that if you want a strong nation with a strong military, the first thing that you don't do is to allow people that have serious physical, I'm not going to say ailments because it's not exactly ailments, but sensitivities when it relates to their physical aptitude and their mental aptitude. And what we know very well about transgender individuals is that they suffer greatly from both, especially when it's a man transitioning to become a woman. I mean, his own physical stature is just severely compromised, and all transgender individuals, their mental constitution is compromised. And so there's a lot of comorbidity that occurs when you're transgender, with anxiety, depression, bipolar, on occasion schizophrenia. Admitting these people is essentially admitting the mentally ill. And I know that we haven't framed it that way in the medical community up until possibly soon at this point. Who knows? Anything can happen. But because we framed it as very insidiously, we framed it as not a medical issue. A mental issue. But that's what it is. That it is a mental issue, and admitting these people into the military that is supposed to garner utmost security for our country is kind of a foolish idea. So barring these people from joining the military and participating in the military, I don't think is a very unconventional move. It just makes it just makes sense. And it was supposed to be done a while ago. So I'm so thankful that this happened. Anyway, here is a self-described gay man, Rob Smith, a combat veteran, telling his audience what he thinks about this move by Trump, and he agrees with it. Let's take a listen.
So Trump just signed an executive order banning transgender people from the military. Let me tell you what this means. First of all, number one, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, there are upwards of 15,000 trans people that are serving, quote unquote, in the United States military right now. The first thing that I'm going to tell you is that all of these people are non-deployable. What that means is that if you are a transgender identified person that is quote unquote serving in the United States military right now, you are non-combat deployable. So these people cannot deploy to combat theaters. When the United States is involved in any sort of conflict overseas, transgender people literally cannot be deployed. What this means is that you've got a lot of people that are sucking up taxpayer funds, sitting in an office somewhere, maybe they're doing pack clerk work, etc., but they are non-combat deployable. This does not bode well for Pete Hegseth's mission of a lethal military. The second thing is that the vast majority of transgender people, when they separate from the United States military, do so by medically separating. This means that they are at 80 to 100% disability.
Wow.
And so now, what that means is that they are on the taxpayers, they're on the hook. Taxpayers are on the hook, for $200,000 to $300,000 per year annually of quote-unquote transgender health care, which is also covered by the VA.
Just unnecessary expenses.
Every single transgender person that separates from the military via medical discharge is covered by the VA for their hormones or their whatever it is that the trans person is on, that is covered by the VA because they are medically separated. This costs American taxpayers to the tune upwards of 6 figures per person.
Per person, by the way.
Gender dysphoria
6 figures per person. What an absolute complete waste of money.
A documented mental illness, which means that we have these people that are not only non-combat deployable, they are also costing the U.S. taxpayer $100,000 plus per year for their health care, and they also have a documented mental health condition. This is why Trump has signed or is about to sign the executive order banning transgender people from the military, because the military is not a medical experiment. Taxpayers should not be footing the bill for this. And also, on a personal note, if you know anything about my history, I am a gay soldier, I'm a gay veteran. I actually protested to end until the law that banned gay and lesbian soldiers from serving openly. Trans got sort of added to that at the last minute. And I will not say who this person is, but I was involved in liberal activism with more than one trans-identified soldier back in the day. And what I will tell you, and again, I'm not going to say this person's name, but the receipts are all out there on the internet. This is one of the most mentally unstable people I have ever dealt with in my entire life. And the thought of sharing a military combat unit with somebody, and this was a quote-unquote transgender woman, somebody that was this unstable, gives me a lot of pause, and it even gave me pause back then. So when you think about the fact that Trump is banning trans from the military, I want you to think about those facts.
Very well put. Just gives a little light, sheds a little light and context on the conversation. All right. Let's check in on the comment section here. Steelbringer wrote, my mother flipped when they changed gender identity disorder in the DSM-5. She called it straight up activism. Yeah. And that's how they change the narrative. The medical system is very much known for that. The medical experts, right? They're completely bought off, and they will push whatever narrative that they are paid to push. Nelson65 says my volume keeps dropping. Yeah, that video was quiet. I have all. Were the other videos that I played today loud enough? That video in particular was quiet for me too on my end, so I think it's just the video. But thank you for letting me know, Nelson65. Okay. Cat Thrower on Twitch writes, "You're the best." Well, thank you, Cat Thrower. I didn't see your name before, so I think you're a new viewer. Thank you for joining. Okay, Totalitariat, your comment looks interesting. If things like taking testosterone are gender affirming care to these people, why aren't they advocating to legalize steroids so I could absolutely get yoked? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you would think that they would it would be probably just as dangerous as taking the hormones that some of these children are taking that really is affecting their bodies and their physical stature. Oh wait, I saw another comment here about Nelson65, right? Leo can't join the military. He cannot. He wouldn't do very well. And I don't think he would want to. Leo is a very subdued and submissive individual. He wouldn't do very well in the military. Okay. It doesn't look like I have any new donations, so I will be right back, you guys. I'm going to be pulling up the next few stories here, and I wanted to talk about Brett Cooper, the Daily Wire, and Jeremy Boring. Okay, we're going to move away from the Trump wins and the executive orders for a little bit, and that really has taken up the lion's share of this show for the last few days, and we will still continue covering it, but I wanted to go into the conservative world, specifically the conservative media world, and look at some of the drama surrounding Daily Wire and Brett Cooper leaving. And a lot of this has been unfolding the last few days, so I am reporting on the heels of it, but I want to talk about that. I saw that on Twitter, someone commented under my stream and said that Jeremy Boring was a scumbag. So there's already heated topics coming in about this situation. Nomad Johnny writes, awesome, Daniela versus Brett Cooper. I'm actually on Brett Cooper's side on this one. So, but like I said, we have a lot to cover. It's a little bit of drama. It's a little catty. So I will be right back with that. You guys just stay tuned and I will pull those stories up and proceed forward with the show.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep, as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
Well, here comes Danny Yellow like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds.
old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have "Glad You Came Out" and "I'm so happy that you're queer" in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling.
Alrighty, we have, let me fix my hair here. We have a lot more to cover. Like I said, we will be covering the Daily Wire saga that has followed after Brett Cooper's leave from the, I guess it's a media company, isn't it? From the media company. But I did forget one thing. I forgot to talk about the funding freeze, so I wanted to play a quick video on that. But before I do, I have another donation that came in.
Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
Okay. I hope you guys hear the sound effect. Otherwise, I'd just be dancing in silence. Nelson65 donated $5. Thank you so much, Nelson. It really means a lot. He donated this to help Leo get a military uniform. Thank you so much, Nelson65. Leo certainly needs to have one. I do have a little bulletproof vest for him, but now it's too small on him. So either we need to remedy that situation or get him a new one. Also, I just got another donation from Nomad Johnny. Thank you so much, Nomad Johnny. That's amazing. Wow. Look at all these donations. Nomad Johnny wrote, "Who could not like Daniela Pensack? Reasonable." Very true, Nomad Johnny. I agree. I do not know how people cannot like me. I think I'm very likable. When I spend enough time on Twitter, though, I come to find out that I'm actually very unlikable as well. It seems like I have a lot of people will say nasty things to me just for having the right opinion. Anyway, let's continue forward. I did want to comment on the funding freeze. So let me do that first, and then we'll proceed with the Daily Wire drama. And I only want to bring this up because literally everyone's talking about it, and it is kind of a big deal. So let's watch this. Breaking White House. This is from Alex Jones. Breaking, a White House press secretary sets record straight. Federal funding freeze to totally confuse the DC elite media. Let's listen to this.
This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. As it says right here in the memo, which I have, and I'd encourage all of you to read it, it says the American people elected President Trump to be the President of the United States and gave him a mandate to increase the impact of every federal dollar. This memo requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements. The American people gave President Trump an overwhelming mandate on November 5th, and he's just trying to ensure that the tax money going out the door in this very bankrupt city actually aligns with the will and the priorities of the American people.
That's right. Is there more? Hold on. Yeah, there's more. I don't know why he has to include that.
That's Office of Management and Budget directed
Alex Jones is just going to do what Alex Jones does best, I guess.
across the board.
It's very quiet.
The exceptions for individual assistance, we understand, to federal grants. It's caused a lot of confusion around the country among Head Start providers, among providers services to homeless veterans, Medicaid providers, states saying they're having trouble accessing the portal. Could you help us clear up some of the confusion,
Yes.
give some certainty to folks, and also, is that uncertainty, how does that uncertainty service the president's voters?
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs.
We just heard that part. But this is huge. Once again, Trump, like I said with this entire stream, it's just Trump taking advantage of his power, but not to retain systems that are put in place to retain control and power over us that are largely ineffective. But he's trying to completely dismantle a system to better the lives of Americans. Also, I think this tweet really brings forth an aspect of this issue that a lot of people, I think, are just largely unaware of, myself included, so I found it rather enlightening. He writes that this is arguably the single most important aspect of Trump's funding freeze. The following: the immigration crisis isn't an accident, okay? He writes, it is a well-oiled system facilitated by powerful NGOs that are using your tax dollars to continue facilitating this issue. By defunding NGOs specifically, Trump is crippling this entire system. And this is a thread, and we won't be reading this thread. I'm actually going to retweet this because it's very good. But it is also important to note the very toxic elements of how NGOs will facilitate these issues just to, legitimize their own existence. And you see this with in other aspects, in other fields, I guess you could say as well. I mean, the homeless epidemic, for instance, that is greatly affecting our country, especially if you live in parts of the countries in the parts of the country like I do. Homeless shelters kind of do the same thing, not to the degree these NGOs are doing, but there are organizations that benefit greatly from facilitating issues that sometimes they are even designed to solve, because it maintains their legitimacy as an institution or as an organization, depending on how big we're talking here. This would be an institution with the NGOs. It continually lines the pockets of people that are running it. It retains their legitimacy and their necessity, and it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or it's this Ouroboros, you could say, the snake eating its own tail. It's it's a very toxic element of, you could say, the nonprofit sector, or also the NGO sector. And so this funding freeze could also decimate this institution as well. But that being removed from the funding freeze, I just wanted to play that video for you guys because it is a running story. We have the Brett Cooper scandal. Now, do you guys remember? I'm just going to jog you guys' memories here. I know this is a real tea you guys were looking for when you tuned into this show. We got all the boring stuff out of the way, right? The boring politics. We're going to talk about some girl drama here. Brett Cooper left the Daily Wire a little over a month ago. I think I briefly talked about it on my stream before, but I don't remember. I think I only touched on it. This is not exactly a story I wanted to dive into, but I saw a lot of podcasts talk about it and other streams, and the more I looked into it, the more I found it interesting as well. And hey, look, it does affect the conservative movement and the conservative culture here in the United States. The Daily Wire is huge. Some may say that it is an institution in and of itself. Them and Turning Point, I think, to a large degree, do affect and steer the direction of the conservative culture and movement in the United States, which, in turn affects politics. But so I do think it's important to discuss the falling out of certain individuals or figures in that particular organization. So when Brett Cooper left and departed Daily Wire and had her YouTube video saying that she was leaving, I won't be playing it on stream, but I've mentioned it on my stream before. It came as a little bit of a shock. People didn't see it coming. She never gave a real clear reason. There was a lot of speculation and rumors that were surrounding it, primarily due to her poor association with her producer, Jeremy Boring. But so to catch you guys up to speed, this article kind of explains it. Let's see here. Here, I'll start here. Brett Cooper's YouTube show, The Comments Section with Brett Cooper, has garnered half the YouTube subscribers that Ben Shapiro has accrued in just 3 years. A remarkable feat compared to Shapiro's many years in the business. It is true, Brett Cooper was surprisingly very influential and very popular. I'm going to level with you guys. I never watch The Comments Section. It's not content that I usually consume. So I never found it interesting. However, I'm not going to say that it isn't objectively good media because it did have its own following. I mean, it was a following to contend with. Certainly larger than Culturama for now. That will change, God willing. But you know what I mean here. Amid the rumors, Reagan Rohrbach, another one of Brett's producers, has been filling in for Brett periodically, and Brett announced Rohrbach would take over the show as many predicted. Online sleuths noted that Cooper had deleted all photos featuring with her and her producer from her Instagram a week leading up to Cooper's announcement. Okay, so this Reagan individual is an individual that we will be talking about. But she has this friend, okay? Brett Cooper has this friend. Her name is Reagan, and they have been friends online for quite a while. And leading up to Brett Cooper leaving the Daily Wire, she has unfollowed this friend or associate from Instagram. And this, what people noticed, and people, that was a big deal. And as soon after that, Reagan replaced Brett Cooper. And this is Reagan right here. This is a comment section. Her name is this Reagan individual is her friend, a bit older. I think she's my age, if I'm not mistaken. She's like 28, 29. Brett is early 20s, a bit younger. But so when Brett left, they replaced the show, the host of the show, the comment section. They kept the name and everything with this woman. And let's just watch how she sounds like. Pay attention to her mannerisms. If you've never watched Brett Cooper before, maybe this won't be as convincing to you, but I'm just going to tell you right here, she is copying every single mannerism, affectation of her voice. I mean, she's copying Brett Cooper here. And fans of Brett Cooper noticed this, and they started calling her Timu Brett Cooper or Shane Brett Cooper. It's a very strange grocery store version of Brett Cooper, but it's not exactly Brett Cooper, and it leaves a lot of people upset, especially because she's essentially emulating who Brett Cooper was and isn't giving her own personal, she's not an individual. She doesn't have her own personal brand to tack onto the comments section. And it is clear that the Daily Wire wanted to retain the overall, feel, the college girl feel, the tone of the show without Brett Cooper. And that's very challenging to do. But so they asked Brett Cooper's friend basically to do it for her. And it's pretty uncanny. We're going to be entering into uncanny valley levels of media consumption here. Let's take a listen.
Section, I'm Reagan Conrad, and in stark contrast to the People's March from last weekend, this weekend, the March for Life brought in an estimated 200,000 people from
So
around
she's
the
talking about the
country,
March for
actually
Life
around
here,
the
and
world,
that's
to
all
walk,
cool.
to educate, advocate,
But
and celebrate for the wins of the
as you can see, she has the headphones like Brett. She's wearing white, and I don't have a comparison video with Brett Cooper, but I mean, you guys, all you have to do is go and check. She's basically copying her, or the feel, the tone of the show. And I completely understand keeping maybe the background and the aesthetic of the show similar, because this is Daily Wire's property, right? But it's the individual herself that is making people feel uncanny vibes from this, because she's copying everything that Brett is doing. Now, as you can tell by the comments, people are a little displeased. This person writes, I love how all the comments here are just about Brett's new video, and we'll be getting to that. Brett's video got 1 million views in less than 20 hours. I didn't want to give this channel another view, but had to check on the actual comment section. Jeremy coming out all passive aggressive. Everyone's talking about Brett Cooper's video, okay? Because Brett Cooper made her own YouTube channel since leaving Daily Wire, and she has put out a trailer for her upcoming media. But what we want to explore here.
Hey guys, and thanks for joining me for another episode of the
YouTube
comment
channel.
section.
And look at the views that she's getting. We have, again, far better than Culturama views. However, compared to what Brett could pull in versus this girl or woman, big difference. There's only 4,000 here an hour ago. That's, I guess, perhaps average. 32,000 a day ago, 89,000 4 days ago, 38K. We're looking at, we can't break 40K in any of these views. This is from over a week ago. 12 days ago, only 28K views. Again, we're dealing with the Daily Wire here. This isn't like some smaller organization. This is the Daily Wire, the creme de la creme of all conservative media, right, in the United States. 13 days ago, 46,000 views, and then 56,000 views. So she managed to break 40,000 a little over 2 weeks ago. But again, this is nothing compared to what Brett could pull in. And people are and you can just tell by Brett uploading her trailer video. It's number 5 it's trending number 5 on YouTube. That's crazy. She did this yesterday. She uploaded a video. It has broken 1 million views. Okay, so clearly Brett has a lion's share of the public's attention when it comes to the comment section, or leaving the comment section, the name of the show. This is her trailer.
Cooper has left. Well, it looks like the rumors were true. Brett Cooper's departure has caused quite a stir.
The internet is absolutely melting down.
Brett Cooper
did in fact announce her exit.
Brett Cooper announces she is leaving the Daily Wire. Brett Cooper is officially leaving the Daily Wire. She is walking away.
Brett Cooper has left.
She is gonzo. Brett Cooper says, I'm out of here.
Now Brett Cooper has nearly 500,000 subscribers without a single video yet.
She already has a channel. There's now 500,000 subs.
If you look at her numbers, Brett Cooper is popping off.
Even Hassan Piker's talking about her. Anyway, this trailer is a little dramatic, but
the fastest growing YouTube channels.
But what's the end all be all for Brett Cooper?
The big question on a lot of our minds is, what is she going to do next?
To win it requires your total dedication and a total break with the world of your past. Fight for the value of your person. Fight for the virtue of your pride. Fight with the radiant certainty and the absolute rectitude of knowing that yours is the morality of life and that yours is the battle for any achievement, any valor, any grandeur, any goodness, any joy that has ever existed on this earth.
Are you ready, Brett?
I'm ready.
Okay, so this is a Brett Cooper show. Launching, I guess, in a day. So a little dramatic. I don't know what tone she's going for. It's certainly not anything like we've seen with the comment section. But, you know, she's taking this seriously, and she is going to have a massive audience. Because, like I said, over 1 million views broken in a day, trending 5 on YouTube, just completely outshines whatever Reagan could accomplish with the comment section here. And yes, there's drama with the friends, Brett and Reagan. We don't exactly know what's going on there. I believe Reagan was a bridesmaid for Brett, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway. But there's a lot of discussion about that. But also what I wanted to talk about is why Jeremy Boring, because again, this centers heavily around him, why he would decide to remove Brett Cooper from the Daily Wire network. And she's just completely, you know, completely decimated everything he thought he could get away with by removing her, just simply by uploading a trailer. This isn't even content. Not really. I mean, this is a trailer, and already over 1.2 million views. It's going to get even more, probably 1.5 or maybe even 2 million by tomorrow. This is basically people's overall attitude with what's happening between the two girls here, or two women. You really blew it, Jeremy Boring and the Daily Wire. Losing Brett Cooper for this Reagan Conrad, what the actual hell? So people are very upset about this. And like I said, people are are not only upset, but they're trying to understand why Reagan, of all people, right? And what is it about Reagan that makes her, almost in a creepy way, emulate Brett so effectively? And people are making these comments, and it makes Daily Wire look bad. And so Jeremy Boring responded. And I have his response right here. Let's take a listen to what Jeremy Boring said to all of this, specifically as it pertains to having a replacement like Reagan. And I do want to reiterate, you know, this is not any ill will thrown against Reagan. I don't know her. I haven't never consumed her content before. I'm not saying the content's bad. I'm just being, you know, a voice of the people. This is the overall sentiment of what's going on here, but this is not an invitation to attack her or write nasty comments under her video. But all nasty comments can be sent to Jeremy Boring. I'm kidding. I am kidding. Do not send nasty comments to Jeremy Boring. But he does not have his share of fans lately. Anyways, but I wanted to play this, so let's just go ahead and play this here.
The entire time that there's been.
Once again, this is Jeremy Boring's response to all the shade that has been thrown against the Daily Wire organization, and specifically the comment section of the show. This tweet says, extremely upsetting and distressing that Brett Cooper can't be bothered to defend Reagan Conrad, especially since Brett recommended her as a replacement. That's what they say. Brett also unfollowed her on Instagram and on social media platforms, which also indicates some ill will. Again, these were supposedly very close friends. For the host of the comment section, I only hope Brett will eventually release a statement of some kind to combat the vicious rumors. Let's take a listen.
The comment section, not from the very earliest days, but almost the entire time, 2 years, has been the producer of the show, has helped to write the show every single day, 2 episodes a day, and has been Brett's best friend. And so, you know, some of the accusations against Reagan have been really ugly, like that she's impersonating Brett. Well, that's unfair. If if Reagan seems a bit like Brett, it's because she's Brett's best friend and one of the writers and the producer of the show. She's worked as much on the show every day.
I already have something to say here. They may be best friends. I don't know if that also, will have someone emulate every affectation, every mannerism that you have as a host of the show. Like, I've had best friends. We've all had a best friend. It's kind of creepy when your best friend emulates your behaviors to a T, and that's what is really putting a lot of people off, is that if even if you are going to replace Brett, and understandably the comment section is a pretty big Daily Wire show, so if you must find a replacement, that's fine, but maybe that replacement should have their own identity. And once again, he has to understand, and I'm surprised he doesn't, because he does work in media, but like the reason why people gravitate towards a show is largely to do with the host, right? And the host has their own specific set of behaviors and characteristics that over time people will grow to like. And this is, how parasocial relationships develop, but besides the point, it really is the centered around the host, and the host embodies the show in a lot of ways. But when you replace that person with another person and they emulate all of those features of that individual or those characteristics that you like, it's very uncanny. I mean, it's not the same person. And it almost feels as though that this particular host that they grew to like, and in some ways, psychologically believing that they almost have a friendship or a kinship with this individual, it's almost communicating to the audience that that's all replaceable, and that the connection that you drew to the host, and all the mannerisms you grew to love, and the characteristics of the individual that you grew to like so much, is completely replaceable, and it is not unique to that person. And that's why it's uncanny. And so to say that just because they're friends, it makes perfect sense why she would have emulate these behaviors. I mean, I suppose it's an explanation, but I don't think he's really truly understanding why people are so put off by it. Rather, he's just on the defense right now.
On what the show would look like and feel like and sound like, as Brett has for these last 2 years. They've done that together. Obviously, they have a lot in common in terms of their delivery, because they have helped craft the show together. Some of the rumors I saw that we sent Reagan to acting lessons to make her more like Brett. That's absolutely absurd and deeply offensive. Reagan's enormously talented. She's been an enormous part of building the comment section for the last 2 years.
I don't have any commentary on that.
And
I've heard those rumors. I don't know if it's true or not, but yes, people have been saying that Reagan took acting lessons to emulate Brett and ape her mannerisms and her behavior. I don't know if that's true, but that would be interesting.
I've never sent her to an acting lesson. She's never asked me to send her to an acting lesson. I've never asked her to do anything to be more like Brett. If anything, we've told her make the show as much your own as you can while maintaining the format. But
exactly. So they said make the show as much your own while maintaining the format. I think she can be her own person while maintaining the format of the show.
She is like Brett because they are friends and
if you're
collaborators.
friends, therefore you have no personal identity. You're just friends. That explains everything.
On
Yes,
the show.
Jeremy.
It's actually ironic because I did send Brett to various kinds of lessons as a performer, not acting lessons. Brett's a terrific actress, and always, the entire time I've known her, she has been, as will be evident when you see the Pendragon cycle. But I did send her to dancing.
The Pendragon Cycle, I believe, is Jeremy Boring's upcoming show that he has written. I don't know what it's about, and I don't care to know what it's about. I don't know what the status is of the Snow White film that was supposed to feature Brett and star Brett as Snow White. I think that's put on hold, or it may very well be scrapped completely. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I was really excited about that movie, by the way. I really wanted to see Brett as Snow White. Looks like it ain't happening. You never fully get what you want,
Lessons and singing lessons in preparation for her role as Snow White. I sent her to dialogue coaching sessions to help her with her role in the Pendragon cycle, and that's good. That's like saying that you shouldn't send a performer to lessons. It's like saying that my political host shouldn't read books. They should just know everything. It should all be natural. What nonsense. You should always be making yourself better. And Brett did take steps to make herself better and better and better, and I'm sure will continue to. And perhaps Reagan will as well. But what Reagan hasn't done is taking acting classes to be more like Brett Cooper. That is just completely absurd. And it's hurt my feelings a little bit that
It's hurt his
Brett
feelings.
hasn't done more to defend her friend Reagan. You know, Brett chose to leave the show. It was her idea, her stated desire to leave the show and to leave the company she had
I'm going to have to go back and watch her video announcing the leave, because even though she may have said that, it was certainly not the vibe that you get when you watch that video. And, you know, you can just look at the overall situation and clearly determine that she was strong-armed her way out of there. And once again, a lot of the rumors was that Jeremy Boring was behind it all. But once again, this is all alleged.
personally recommended Reagan to me. Before she told me she wanted to leave the show, she had personally recommended Reagan to me and told me that if she ever did leave the show, Reagan would be a great person to consider to host it, and that at any rate I should give something to Reagan because she should be on-screen talent. And the audience, whenever Reagan would guest host the comment section, the audience loved her. The comments were almost universally positive. In fact, many of the things that they're now criticizing her for in the comments were the things that they liked most about her when they didn't know that Brett was leaving the show. And for that reason, I know that most of these attacks on Reagan are completely unfair. They're completely disingenuous. People aren't really raising these criticisms. They're either helping to craft or buying into a narrative which has been crafted by people who want the Daily Wire to fail and want Reagan to fail in the role. And both will be disappointed because Reagan will not fail in this role.
I don't know.
And the Daily
she's
Wire
already getting pretty low views there, Jeremy, compared to Brett. Sure, she's not failing. I mean, it's not like she's getting 0 views and completely flopping, but the viewership has drastically declined, and it's very much in bad faith if he's going to claim that she's a success when Reagan's just not a success in this situation.
will not fail.
That's what happens when you center a show around a personality so much, like the comment section. I mean, it wasn't like a panel of people that had, various opinions, or a podcast with various characters like what Tim Pool does, for instance. I mean, this is a host-centric show, so obviously you're going to lose a big following, a big portion of the following if you replace the very glue of the show.
Continue to grow and we continue to succeed. And business is hard, and we'll go through you're always going to go through a little bit of a downturn in audience after a
He's
very
aware.
popular
Okay, so he's aware there's a downturn of audience. Very good. He is self-aware, everybody.
host leaves a show. But Brett will go on and build her next thing, and she'll do just fine and continue to be very successful. And Reagan will continue to find her footing with her new role as host of the comment section and continue to thrive. And absolutely, we will do other kinds of content with Reagan. Reagan and Brett are different. We did other kinds of content with Brett in the form of acting. She played a very important role in the Pendragon cycle because Brett is a very gifted actress. And
yeah, so that was Jeremy Boring's response. I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of weird. Now, he could be right. After time, perhaps, if Reagan plugs away at it, they may build back the audience that they once had with the comment section. People are just retaliating right now because, Brett Cooper just recently left and she just uploaded her video trailer for her YouTube channel and her new show. So over time, they may be able to rebuild, right? Build back better, as they say. But my issue with this video is that, how do I put this? It's very strange. The fact that he's reacting like this to what is essentially just internet rumors is very strange. For one, him addressing these rumors, someone may even say are rather petty rumors, like paying for acting lessons, or even just observations saying that Reagan sounds and acts like Brett. For him to address this proves or establishes legitimacy.
the entire time that there's been.
It establishes legitimacy with those claims and those allegations. So the fact that he is just responding to it kind of proves everyone's point, and it means he's taking it seriously. It means the Daily Wire staff is taking it seriously, and that probably shows that there is maybe some truth to it. It's very defensive, and I don't know, Jeremy Boring, it just doesn't seem like the wisest decision to put this out there. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I have no idea what this is. It just came up on my feed. Okay, what do you guys think about that? Nomad Johnny, Build Back Better. You beat me to it, indeed. Okay. I see that I've gotten another donation.
Here we go.
You guys are crazy. I'm so sorry, Row House. I see that you donated the $5 28 minutes ago. It must have been right before I went on to the story, so my apologies, but I'm getting on it right now. Thank you so much for the $5, Row House. He writes, Daniela on immigration is Stephen Miller the best we have. Look at how he handles Jake Tapper here. And he sends a link. I will take a look at that, Row House. Most definitely. Thank you for giving me the content. Row House is very good about providing content and things for me to cover live on the show, and I always appreciate that. Okay. Alrighty. I did see this tweet earlier, Row House, and I will watch it here in a second. I have it up, Row House. I will be playing it in a second. I did want to just read the other comments here. Barney Styles, to be fair, every 20-something female on the internet is just doing a Jenna Marbles impersonation. Well, Barney, I really hope I'm not doing a Jenna Marbles impersonation. But, you know, you're not too far off. Okay, what else do we have here? Nathan D2297 from Twitch says, I think people are just reading too far into this. You may be right about that, Nathan. I do think so. And initially, I didn't want to talk about it at length, but I did see a lot of right-wing influencers talk about it, so I wanted to touch on it. I did find it interesting. What really prompted me to talk about this was Jeremy Boring's response, actually. I don't really care if the host of the comment section acts like Brett. I don't really care if Brett followed her on Instagram, you know, because I don't even watch the comment section. It's not usually content I cover, but it's good, first of all, to have a variety of content. Sometimes you need more of the superficial content. Sometimes you need more of the deeper policy stuff. But Jeremy Boring's response was strange, and I did want to bring attention to that because Daily Wire has a lot of influence in conservative media and in conservative culture here in the United States, like I said. So seeing, you know, big scale decision makers in the conservative movement, like Jeremy Boring, who through the media they put out affects it, having his response come out like this is rather strange to me. And it almost seems like he almost comes off insecure in that video. Okay. Crowder contract, writes Entropy Nomad. Exactly. When, I don't know if you guys remember, but Steven Crowder had an issue with Daily Wire. It was over a year ago, and it was over a contractual agreement. And Crowder said that the contract that Daily Wire put out was very, if I remember correctly, he said it was very stifling. They wouldn't allow him a reasonable or a fair cut. It didn't let him have any creative authority over the content he would put out, and he came out and he complained about that. And at that time, I, along with many others, were pro on Daily Wire's side because, first of all, it's a contract. You either agree with it or you don't, right? But also, this was very shortly after the Steven Crowder pregnant wife video came out, if you guys know what I'm referring to. And it just wasn't a good time, I think, for him to come out with that. And it looked like Steven Crowder was trying to gain some favor with the public by pushing this story, following that video surfacing of him yelling at his pregnant wife to feed the dog medication or something. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, since this bread incident, it's making me reevaluate the Crowder versus Daily Wire situation. Okay, I am going to Row House, if you have another rant, send it in. I will be commenting on the link you just shared with me. So after I do that, you can send me in another rant and I can take a look at it if I lose your previous comments. Okay, I'm going to be playing this, Row House. So Row House sent in a donation. He wants me to react to this. So I saw this tweet floating around. I didn't really look into it, so I will be looking into it live with you guys here in real time. Just in, Stephen Miller shuts down CNN's Jake Tapper after he tried asking a gotcha question on illegal immigration. Miller says he can stay for 30 minutes explaining the topic so Tapper can understand. Owned. I miss these interviews. He writes, this is a dialogue. Tapper, how are you going to avoid deporting illegal immigrants working in agriculture? Miller responds with, only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destinations for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles. And Tapper says, you kind of are changing the subject. Miller said, give me 30 minutes. I'll go in as deep as you want. Let's react to this. This is hilarious.
Jobs many Americans do not want to do. So, how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake, you're just asking the question, that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles.
Like the inner cities.
And small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden flights. None of those...
I'm sick and tired of hearing leftists pose the argument that, you know, it is our agriculture that will suffer the most if we push out and deport these migrants out of our country. And it is... I'm really glad that Miller here is pointing out the statistics and dispelling this narrative, because that is a very toxic narrative that they will constantly push. And they are essentially, what the left is doing by saying this is by, they are justifying a serf class. You know, what will we do, whether it be in agriculture or other sectors? But it is almost as if us the affluent American citizenry will not be able to survive if we do not have these individuals here. And I don't know what their justification is for that. I mean, you do have American workers that, first of all, cannot find a job, will very well do these jobs. And, you know, it'll go a long way in solving the job displacement crisis that we are facing in America right now. But they are also justifying what is essentially a serf class. They're doing it for cheaper labor, you know, working longer hours, like we see with the H-1B visa situation. But they are trying to justify serf class for the affluent citizenry to rely on, and that is extremely unsustainable, as much as it is, in a way, racist. And I just don't understand why you have progressives and leftists pose this argument, because it doesn't sound good, and I don't understand why they can't hear what they're saying. It's almost as if these individuals are incapable of, or if they are capable enough to see the outcome of what they're saying or the bigger picture, they are very racist individuals. But I think for the most part, like I said, I don't attribute malice as much as I attribute stupidity to some of the things people say. And I think for the most part, I think they're just not aware of like second order thinking, or they can't see the bigger picture of what it is that they're saying. But that is essentially what they are saying, is that they want a serf class here in America.
Illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 legal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are...
But I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean, I'm talking about the ones...
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want on this.
We don't have 30 minutes. I don't have a third. I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
you can come back and we can talk about the ones in the cities. I swear.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. Yeah. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua. They are not doing farm work. They are inner cities collecting welfare. As for the farmers, there is a guest worker program that President
Facts.
Trump
I can't
supports.
argue
Over
with that
time as
reasoning.
well, we will transition into automation.
How can you argue with that reasoning? I mean, it's statistically valid. That's pretty much what's going on here.
So we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no
Look
universe
how pissed he
in which
is.
this
That's
nation
hilarious. He did the Rush Limbaugh tap of the paper. He's
is going
mad.
to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens.
That's right.
So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws, and as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
Thank you for that submission, Row House. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I think Tapper got pissed off, frankly. Okay. Alrighty, Row House, if you have another thing you want me to react to, let me know. Alrighty. I do have other stories I wanted to cover. It is a SmackDown, Entropy Nomad. It's a major SmackDown. I have other stories that I wanted to cover, so I will be pulling those up. So just stay tuned, everyone. I will be right back. Let's put up the commercial screen here. Hold on. There we go. Okay, I'll be right back, everyone.
In our little town, so serene, where the grass is green, the air so clean. We gather round the table every night, joyful days, oh, once I yet, with values passed, with generations past, living life with love that surely lasts. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight, in our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine. Working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright, got too tight, in our hearts the same old fire. Yeah, oh yeah. We sway with every change of time, but in our hearts, old love and soul, that baby in our heart, getting like a thought ain't not in this fast-paced world we can fight. Traditions keep our hearts going wild. Love goes to find in our hearts simple ways. We got it by the good old days.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing. Staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and free, with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision, in God we make decisions for our dream. True, thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie, with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery, with liberty.
Alrighty, we are back now. We have had some other major developments happen today, and like I said, it's going to be a jam-packed stream because there is executive order after executive order, and there are other developments happening in the United States government. But this next one I wanted to touch on. This next story I wanted to touch on here because it is very important. It relates to this stream as well as many other streams. So this is what I retweeted. Apparently the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, says that now independent media can come and cover briefings. Here, let's take a look. It says also included are podcasters, bloggers, and social media influencers. The White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, made some huge news about changes to which outlets will be allowed into the Brandy briefing room. Let's listen to what she has to say about this.
Our team will work diligently. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. And you can apply now on our new website, whitehouse.gov/new media. Starting today, this seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex. So in light of these announcements, our first questions for today's briefing will go to these new media members, whose outlets, despite being some of the most viewed news websites in the country, have not been given seats in this room.
So this is huge. As what I've retweeted this, I said that online streaming and podcasts are now at equal footing with legacy media. Legacy media is dissolving and breaking down. Last week, CNN has laid off a couple hundred of its employees. Associated Press is downsizing as well. I believe Washington Post was downsizing. So we are seeing major changes happening to the integrity and structure of legacy media and the power that they held over the public narrative for many generations now. And we see this finally dissolving. And a lot of people have said that, this last election season was the election of the podcast, or the podcast election. Where the Joe Rogans and the Tim Pools and whoever else you want to throw in there, but they did greatly change the narrative, the political narrative and political landscape of the United States and of the presidential race. And so, regardless of whether you're listening to, Alex Jones or Hassan Piker, it doesn't matter who you're listening to, but the point is that all these individuals that are involved in the online spheres of, you know, political rhetoric and political conversations have greatly influenced the decisions, especially of the Zoomer generation, but of American citizens. And we have truly seen that in the polls this last presidential election. And a lot of people point to Joe Rogan specifically, and Joe Rogan's podcast, saying how this may not have single-handedly determined the election, but it was largely influential. And so now we have, you know, independent media applying for press passes and can very well go in on the same level of narrative influence as legacy media. And for those that are asking whether or not Culturama sent in an application, we did. I did. I just don't know if I'll get accepted. So fingers crossed, everyone. Prayers, please be sent, because we very well could have Culturama covering in the Brandy briefing room. Okay, let's, I think I'll have one more story here for you guys. Go for it, Daniela writes, Nelson65. I will, Nelson65. No promises I'll get in, but fingers crossed, anything's possible. The application process was literally 3 seconds. It just asks for your name, your email, contact info, and then like a link to your media site. So I don't know how the vetting process is going to be invoked here. Obviously, it'll take a long time before I hear, or a lot of other podcasts or streams will hear anything back. But so I can only imagine how many people applied. I don't know if there's like a certain limited number they are allowing, or if they're looking for certain qualifications, but there was no qualifications listed. All you have to have is your own show, basically. You can even be just an influencer and just probably, if you just film things on your phone, you can still send in an application. Once again, there was no qualifications listed. Alrighty. Well, this has been a very fun stream. I did have one more thing I wanted to cover, and it's less serious. Maybe for some it'll be serious. I don't know. It's religious in nature, but I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a religious debate going on Twitter, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but I wanted to pull it up because I sometimes talk about religion on my profile. I talk about the two things that no one else is allowed to talk about in public, and that is religion and politics. But I don't know if you guys saw this, but this individual right here says that Jesus was once a refugee, and trying to bump up those engagement numbers. Let me take a look at this individual's. So he is a Jesuit priest. Is this a typical Jesuit L or an uncommon one? I don't know if I have any Jesuits in my chat right now, but so he has quite a bit of a following. Well, anyways, let's listen to what he has to say. It's 2 minutes long. We already have Jack Posobiec and others throwing shade at him. Jesus never left the confines of the Roman Empire during his entire time on earth. So there is a conversation being had about whether or not Jesus was a refugee. A lot of people, especially in the right wing, are pointing out that actually Egypt was part of the Roman Empire during this time, which is where Jesus and his mother Mary and stepfather Joseph would flee to after Herod's reign. During Herod's reign. And so even Judea was a part of the Roman Empire at the time. So technically, they're saying that Jesus was not a refugee. They just, moved to a different part of the empire. But they were still in the confines of the empire. Other people are saying that it doesn't matter. What matters is that they moved, and therefore they must be a refugee. It's a spiritual context. Okay, they went to a land that they've never really lived in before, and Egypt is far away enough from Bethlehem or I believe, or Nazareth, wherever it was where they were living. It was far away enough to make the argument that they were fleeing to an entirely different country, you could say. That's not technically accurate, but that's what they're saying. So Let's listen to what this individual says here.
Martin, hope you're well. Yes. Hey everyone, it's Father Jim Martin, hope you're well. Yesterday on social media, I posted a few things about why Catholics and Christians are called to care for refugees. And
I don't like it when people make that distinction, Catholics and Christians. I've never liked that. Catholics are Christians, Protestants are Christians. We're all Christians. I don't like this distinction. Are there like stark differences in doctrine and in the form of worship? Yes, of course. But they're still Christians. So I don't like this distinction. Already a red flag is being thrown out there.
Migrants. It's basically because Jesus asks us to. In Matthew 25, he says to welcome the stranger is to welcome him. And more pointedly, not to welcome the stranger is not to welcome him. But there's also another reason, which is that Jesus himself was a refugee. Now, you might think I've never heard of that. But in the second chapter of Matthew, after the Nativity, Joseph takes Mary and Jesus away from their homeland to Egypt to flee the murderous designs of King Herod. And the classic definition of a migrant, or refugee, is someone who flees their homeland out of a well-founded fear of persecution, which is exactly what's going on. Now, sometimes people say, oh, well, it was the same country because it was all under the Roman Empire, but, give me a break. They are fleeing Judea and Galilee. I doubt that they thought that Egypt was their homeland.
So his response to the Roman Empire question is that, I believe exactly his phrasing was, give me a break. They're, moving across large swaths of land, so therefore they must be a refugee. There is a legal distinction here that I think he's missing. You have to be from a different country, okay? And at this time, they were all under the purview of the Roman Empire. Therefore, it cannot follow that they are, encroaching upon and entering into a completely foreign land. Is it foreign in the sense that it is a different location and that it may have a different culture in that area than from the one that they have escaped from? Sure, you can make that argument, but I mean, as far as the legal definition is concerned, they're not a refugee. And a lot of the conversations that we're having about people entering into the United States is that they are coming from a different country. Is what he is saying that because you are a part of a different area of the empire, you could say, that you're living in, just because you come from a place with a different demographic or a different culture, and you enter into another part of that land that has a completely different culture, that means that you are a refugee? That makes no sense. I mean, a country or a empire with certain boundaries put in place, you can have different cultures and different peoples living there. I mean, in the United States, you can have people that grew up with one culture versus a person that grew up with a different culture, but they're both still an American citizen in this respect. So, I wouldn't say that if you move from one part of the United States to a different part of the United States, you're a refugee. If a person moves out of their state because they think that their governor is tyrannical, or they don't like some of the policies that are being pushed in their state, so they move to a completely different state. Is that a refugee? Well, no, it's just an American citizen moving state to state. So I don't really quite understand his logic here.
And Father,
okay, let's listen to it again.
I doubt that they thought that Egypt was their homeland. And Father Dan Harrington in the Sacra Pagina series reminds us that Egypt was not under Herod's jurisdiction. By the way, over my shoulder is a painting done by a Ugandan refugee I worked with named Didas Kamagunga. It's called Our Lady of the Refugees, and that's Mary taking Jesus to Egypt.
Of course.
He was a refugee in East Africa where I was working. And it also gives rise to some other beautiful images, like these from Kelly Lattimore. This is La Sagrada Familia.
Exactly. I see in the comments here, Quill Pig Parapet. Thank you for your comment. They're right. Maybe if they're fleeing California, Arizona, they might be refugees. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's sort of the same concept. Like, if you are not happy with what's going on in California, I certainly wouldn't be if I was living in California. You would probably move to Arizona, right? The next best state. And that's not a refugee. Even if you are led to believe reasonably that you are being politically persecuted.
It's the Holy Family as
so anyway, he's bringing out these art
along the border, and then
I'm not interested in this part. So they always have art like that in their offices. Anyway, I did find this article. This isn't like this isn't deciding the argument here. Obviously, the argument is ever continuing. But as far as this article is concerned, it's a museum website. It says, for the first century following the Roman conquest, Egypt functioned in the Mediterranean world as an active and prosperous Roman province. The value of Egypt to the Romans was considerable, as revenues from the country were almost equal to those from Gaul and more than 12 times those of Judea. So he's saying that Herod's reign didn't extend to Egypt, and I wouldn't exactly know how this works, but it sounds to me like, Egypt was a polity all on its own in the Roman Empire, and it was powerful enough where Herod's reign wouldn't extend to that part of the empire. So, but it was still under the jurisdiction of the Roman Empire. So, I mean, technically speaking, they were not refugees. Anyway, but I did find this conversation interesting, and I wanted your guys' take on this. But like Jack Posobiec says, Jesus never left the confines of the Roman Empire during his entire time on Earth. Unless you believe in the Jesus India theory. I don't know if you guys know about that one, but there's a theory that Jesus traveled to India and learned how to meditate and all this. Yeah, so Jesuit L on that one, kind of sad, but I saw this blow up on Twitter yesterday, so I wanted to talk about that. And Nelson 625 wrote, and don't forget he moved back to Nazareth after Herod died. Exactly. It's not like as though he stayed in Egypt and made everyone's lives there a living hell, or did any crimes, by the way, or was a repeat offender of certain crimes. Alrighty. Well, this has been a very valuable and informative stream. I want to thank everyone that has donated to this stream. It looks like we're hitting on 3 hours here. Unless you guys want me to cover anything else, please let me know now. Otherwise, I will be wrapping this show up. And I wanted to thank everyone that did show up. Had great viewership on Twitter and on Rumble. Let me see what the viewership is on Twitter right now. Okay, let me see. 1.3K, not too bad. Always good to see that. And and I also wanted to show you guys the Culturama coffee before you go. I promised I'd show this. Culturama coffee. Nelson 65 Leo. Alrighty, Nelson 65. I brought Leo on Saturday's stream, but we do have the Unleash the Beast meter for those that are interested.
Monster kill.
I always set the limit to $50 in donations. I don't think we got $50 today. We got 5, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We got a little over $20 in donations today, so I put it at 50 to get Leo out so we can unleash the beast. That's the sound effect I play when we reach the $50 limit. But I don't like to bring Leo out every stream because A, I don't want to spoil you guys, and B, he is rather old and tired. But yes, that his ransom is $50. So if we get $50, but I didn't really talk about Unleash the Beast in the stream because I brought him out the last 2 streams, so I don't want to be like redundant about that. But yeah, Leo's always a possibility if you guys donate. He does have a ransom after all. Okay, one more thing, you guys. Do you love coffee? I love coffee. We have the Culturama coffee. This is the Atomic Blonde coffee. Do me a favor. If you go to the ap4libertyshop.com, that is right there, the AP4 libertyshop.com, you can go under the Culturama collection. You can type it up in the search bar there, and you can find our Culturama Atomic Blonde coffee. I already had a few great... We have really high customer satisfaction. We already had very satisfied customers with this blend. You can have a one-time purchase and become a one-time subscriber, or consecutively donate to the stream to get a bag of coffee every month, or every 2 months, or every 2 weeks. Depends on how quickly you drink coffee. And if it was me, it would have to be every 3 days, but regardless. So go on the website. Again, that is ap4libertyshop.com to get the Culturama Atomic Blonde coffee. Our coffee is not from Colombia. I want to stress that. It is not from Colombia. It is from Costa Rica. It is delicious. It is full-bodied, and it will keep you awake for hours at a time. That's how it gets me to juggle so many projects at the same time and to be able to do this show. So go into the ap4libertyshop.com to get the Atomic Blonde coffee. And not only are you getting a delicious roast, but you are also helping in the development and the promotion of this show. So I really appreciate it as well, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on. A Leo's ransom. Yes, Mr. Pig. Nomad Johnny says, you did great. Thank you so much, Nomad Johnny. That is so kind of you. Atomic Blonde coffee, oh yeah, yes, and it's blonde coffee, and that means it is more caffeinated. Actually, I think that's actually true. Like a blonde roast is a blonde roast. I'm googling right now. Does a blonde roast have more caffeine? Yes, so a blonde roast does have more caffeine. Barty Styles, you sent me a link. Let me take a look at that. I just saw your chat here, so...
It's 9:15. How am I already in?
That's an ad. Hold on a second. Reading mean comments about my dogs. From Jenna Marbles.
It's getting hot. I'm gonna shake.
You want me to watch this, Row House? You want me to watch it live here? Row House sent me this video. Oh, whoops. Is that not working? Hold on. It is. Okay. Row House sent me this video. It's Jenna Marbles reading mean comments about her dogs. By the way, Jenna Marbles left the internet like a few years ago, didn't she? Because I don't remember what it was about. People were attacking her from her older videos because they said she was racist because she was doing racist stereotypes. I believe it was of an Asian lady, I think. I'm unlocking memories way in the past here. This was a number of years ago. I think it was during COVID. And she left the internet, but I don't think she's ever come back. Yeah, 4 years ago was the last video. I think she may have even apologized for her apology video because she posted an apology video and then she left. So I don't know what happened to Jenna Marbles, but a very dated picture right here. This reminds me of like a scene girl. But I do love her dogs. I never really watch Jenna Marbles. It's not the kind of content I enjoy, but I do love her dogs, her dog videos.
The people on the internet said them, not mommy, okay? I think way worse about it. Is Marbles alive? Fair question.
Look
Honestly,
at that little dog. I love Chihuahuas.
I see this comment all the
Poor
time.
boy.
If I post any video with the Iggy's, they're like, Marbles is dead. And my most recent Instagram picture of Marbles is just R.I.P. Marbles. Like, people think he's dead.
And what's ironic about that is that little dogs will live forever. They're the least likely to die.
Is he okay?
They are fueled by pure hatred and rage and resentment.
I don't know.
Except Leo, he is fueled by pork and chicken.
Marbles looks like a hyena from The Lion King. What's the one that chews his leg? Ed. He looks like Ed. I'm surprised Marbles knows which end to eat his food with. I think your dogs are
That's not
cataleptic.
nice. Look at his face. That's not nice. Look at that. Oh. Look at that face. How can you say that about that sweetheart? That is not true. He's smarter than he looks. Okay? That's a genuine face of hurt right there. He's really hurt. That's not very kind. Don't say things like that about him. He's a good boy. Or girl. I don't know what sex, not gender, what sex Marbles is. Federally, it's sex. Marbles bark sounds exactly like what I imagine entering the gates of hell would sound like.
Does that sound like...
I better not see any of you guys post nasty comments about Leo like that, okay? No nasty comments about Leo. You're banned automatically from this chat. I'm kidding. I have a sense of humor. Alrighty. Barney Styles said the blackface got her. Was it blackface Barney Styles? I am not sure what she did. I think it was, unless you're just saying like colloquially, like that's the phrase we use to describe that phenomenon. But I think she was trying to emulate a person of East Asian descent, and people said that it was racist, even though it was very, very minute. It wasn't even that. It wasn't like Shane Dawson levels of racial stereotyping, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know who Shane Dawson is, do not worry. It has nothing to do. It's not really worth it's not worth it. Yes, Nelson65, we love Leo. Leo is resting today, but I think we had a pretty full show today. We're hitting 3 hours. 3 hours in. I do want to go eat some dinner at some point, but I did want to thank everyone for showing up and contributing to the chat and donating to the stream. I love you guys. I love what you have to say, and I love your support for the show. And if you don't follow me on Twitter already, please follow me on Twitter. Let me show you my Twitter, and that way you can get direct updates of the show whenever I post. So if you don't know, my Twitter is I changed it to @DCPensac. Once again, that is @DCPensac. And this is what you can't miss it with the banner. It's a Culturama banner. And there, it's in the bio, host of Culturama. So you will see updates of the show and what guests we'll be bringing on my Twitter primarily. I will also post it on Instagram as well. On Locals, you can follow us on Locals also, but this is where you'll get the updates, and I highly encourage you to follow me @DCPensac, and also you can, interact with me in my posts there. But I love all of you guys, and I want to thank you for taking the time, for tuning into Culturama, and being part of the zeitgeist and the national discourse that we are having today. And I hope that we can all engage equally in the fight of reclaiming the zeitgeist and reclaiming the spirit of traditional Americana back into the United States. I want to thank all of you for joining, and I hope that you have a good rest of your evening. I will see all of you guys on Thursday. Thank you so much for joining, and have a good rest of your evening.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the left is strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway. In the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down. with a flagpole planted firm.
Golden dreams that won't decay,
Marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains all, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive.